Okay, so you're pretty good at the order of operations and basic math, and that is fantastic because that's what you need to know in order to do a problem like this. So, for those of you out there like, yes, I am very good at those math skills, that is great. Let's go and put your skills to the test and let's see if you can do this problem without the aid of a calculator. So, let's go and take a look at the problem here. We have brackets 1/2 cubed times parentheses 6 squared plus 30 divided by 5 times 3 and parentheses divided by 6 and bracket. We're trying to get this down to one value. All right, so if you know how to do this problem, put your answer into the comment section. I'll show you the right answer in just 1 second, and then of course I'm going to walk through the solution step by step. And remember, the whole idea, to do this problem, or the whole idea of this video, is to have you do this without the aid of a calculator. You don't need a calculator. Matter of fact, you have a supercomputer. If you don't know where it's at, it's right here. It's in between your ears, and it's so much better than any artificial intelligence. That's actual intelligence. Certainly enough mental horsepower to figure this problem out. Okay, so I'm going to show you all of this in just 1 second. But first, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John, and I've been teaching middle and high school math for decades. And it really is my true passion to try to make learning math as easy as possible. So if you need assistance in mathematics, check out my math help program at tcmathacademy.com. You can find a link to that in the description below. And if this video helps you out, don't forget to like and subscribe, as that definitely helps me out. Okay, so let's go and take a look at the answer. The correct answer is 9 over 8, 9/8. Now, if you got this right without the aid of a calculator, okay, that is really impressive. Matter of fact, I need to give you a happy face, an A++. Matter of fact, I think I might give you like 200% and multiple stars so you can brag to your friends and family that indeed you are a certified professional expert in basic mathematics and order of operations. As a matter of fact, if you were like in one of my basic math classes, I might just tell you, you know what, take the rest of the year off. You've passed this class with flying colors. And I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. You might be watching that guy on YouTube. But anyways, great work. Now, if you didn't get this answer, don't panic. A lot of you probably could have gotten this correct. And I'm going to tell you where a lot of you made an error, okay? And it wasn't so much your understanding of math concepts, it's the way it's basically your math habits. Now, what am I talking about? Well, this particular problem requires a good amount of steps to get to the solution, right? You need to take these steps one at a time, all right? And that requires discipline, focus, time. You got to be neat, you got to be structured, you got to be organized, and that's a tough thing for a lot of people to kind of get their to kind of develop those skills, right? So I want you to, if you truly want to improve in math, you got to look at the way you work, right? Is your work neat? Is it clear? Are you taking, things one step at a time? If you can improve in this area, you're going to dramatically increase the odds of you getting math problems right. Okay, so I assume you want to get better at math. That's why you're watching this video. So let's go ahead and get into the solution right now. All right, so here is our problem, and I did allude in the beginning of this video that this is an order of operations problem, okay? Technically, we would describe this in math as a numeric expression. All these numbers are trying to express something. Matter of fact, they're trying to express one value, okay? And of course, that's the whole objective of the problem, is to figure out this one specific value all these numbers are trying to express. Now, these numbers are being combined in all sorts of, they're being put together with different type of mathematical operations, right? So in math, a mathematical operation is things like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and even powers. Okay, these type of things, these are called like mathematical operators. So we have to understand what is the correct order to do this problem. Because if you take one order versus another order, you're going to come up with different answers or different results. Of course, there's only one correct order, and that's why we need to make sure you understand PEMDAS, right? This is a little acronym. Okay, these letters stand for something, and this is the correct order of operations. All right, so this is a checklist. It goes from left to right. I'm going to explain what these letters mean in just one second. But here is a lovely little phrase you can remember, or yeah, well, you can remember to help you remember this acronym. And that is, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. People have been saying this for years and years and years. You know, this goes back many decades. Probably my great grandparents were saying this way back in the good old days. Anyways, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We don't know what Aunt Sally did, but we thank her for her cool little phrase. So this is going to basically define the correct order that we need to do in order to get this problem right. All right, so let's quickly go through this. So P, we're going to start with P. That stands for parentheses. Okay. Now, of course, we have parentheses, but also stands for these things, brackets, and these type of brackets. Effectively, P stands for grouping symbols. Okay. Anytime you're grouping some numbers together, okay, that is a grouping symbol, and you can use parentheses, brackets, or these type of brackets. Now, with the order of operations, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be working for the innermost grouping symbols. Okay, so if in other words you have parentheses inside of brackets, for example, you're going to start here and expand outwards. Now I just gave you a huge hint for those of you that were confused about what to do here. But anyways, you can see that we're going to need to be thinking about this as we do this problem, because we have a couple sets of grouping symbols here. All right, so what is E? Well, E, so anyways, that's what P stands for. So E is basically powers, okay? So for those of you that don't know, if I have like 2 to the third power, this little 3 is called an exponent, okay? The 2 down here is called the base. The entire thing is called a power. So 2 to the third power, this little number up in the top right is called the exponent of that power. That's what that E stands for, but you can kind of think of this as powers. Okay, so the next letters here, M, D, A, and S, stand for multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Now, a lot of you might say, okay, Mr. YouTube Math Man, I get this. We're going from left to right, so I'll do all multiplication, then all division, and then all addition and subtraction in that strict order. Well, it actually doesn't work that way. Okay, you're like, what are you talking about? Well, I'm going to explain that right now. These are basically two groups. So you're going to do multiplication or division, whatever you see first from left to right. Okay, this is really, really important and a very common error that students make in the order of operations. So if you see multiplication, then division, do it this way. If you see division, then multiplication, you do it this way because division comes first from left to right. Okay, so and same thing with addition and subtraction, whatever you see first from left to right. All right, so if there was any confusion there about the order of operations, I just pretty much gave you the path, okay, told you how to work this problem one step at a time. I explained the correct order of operations. So some of you might be saying, oh, I didn't understand this, or I didn't work my problem that way. Maybe go ahead and pause the video and try to redo this problem, step by step. I bet you could probably get the right answer. All right, so let's go ahead and get going now. And of course, we always need to keep this PEMDAS phrase in mind. So with PEMDAS in mind, we need to do what? Well, let me write this up here real quick. So we're thinking, all right, are there any parentheses, any grouping symbols? Yes, there is. Or do we have more than one set? Yes, we do. So we need to go to the innermost parentheses. So we got to focus on doing this part of the problem first. And it's effectively like a math problem within a math problem. That's perfectly fine. That's why the way you manage this work is a huge, part of whether you're going to get this right or wrong. Okay. Again, a lot of you can do this basic math operations, but do you have the discipline and the mathematics or the academic habits to write your steps out? That is a huge, huge part of being successful in math. Okay, so let's go and get started on focusing on figuring out what this value is. We need to do this first, okay, before we can even consider the stuff outside of the parentheses. Okay, so we'll focus there and let's go ahead and get going. All right, so again, we're going to kind of just put our concentration on the innermost parentheses right here, and you can think of it as its own lovely little separate math problem. Okay, so we're going to focus on getting this down to one value. So here we have 6 squared plus 30 divided by 5 times 3. So what is going on here? Well, we have to, again, go back to our lovely Dear Aunt Sally, or PEMDAS checklist, and we need to consider the different operations. Okay, so what do we have? Well, of course, we're working inside parentheses. So the next thing is, do we have powers? Okay, do we have exponents? Yes, we do, right here, right? Do we have multiplication, division, and subtraction? Well, we kind of look at these operations, right? We can kind of just list them out like I did here. This is a power, an exponent. Here's addition. 30 divided by 5, that's division, and then we have multiplication here. So, when I write out these operations this way, we can kind of just reference our checklist. All right, we got to do all the exponents first. Then do I have multiplication, division? Yes, I do have multiplication and division. Which one am I going to do first? Well, I kind of already told you that answer. So you should be, like, oh, okay, I know what he's going to do. And then, of course, we do have some addition and no subtraction, but we do have addition, okay? So right here, now, of course, you're not going to write this PEMDAS, and all this stuff right here. I'm kind of doing this just to highlight these operations, but you need to, in your brain, in your mind's eye, always be thinking about PEMDAS constantly. All right, where am I at in this problem? And of course, you can see we have some exponents, so we need to address 6 squared. All right, so let's go and do that right now. So 6 squared, of course, is 6 times 6, which is 36. Okay, so here's our problem. And look, I'm just doing this one step at a time, okay? I'm not going quick. I'm just controlling, my work, and so I can focus. It's this, this math problem is like a bunch of little tiny little math problems all in one. So just focus on doing one part of the problem and then moving on. All right, so 6 squared is 36. So now I'm down to this right here. And again, I have PEMDAS in mind, and hopefully a lot of you are out there, oh, okay, PEMDAS, let's see, let me write this out again. So I did all my, of course, I'm inside the parentheses, I did all my powers. So I'm down to multiplication and division. What do I see first from left to right? I see division first. So I got to do this, okay? And if you picked up on that, I'm like, great job, you're listening to me. You're going to be an expert in this, I guarantee it. All right, so 30 divided by 5, of course, is 6. All right, so again, I'm just taking one step at a time. So, not only can you read the problem like your teacher or somebody else. Okay, now let's suppose you made a mistake. You're like, I made a mistake. I did this problem wrong someplace. You can reread your problem and be like, oh, right here, I wrote this wrong, or oh, I did this wrong. You don't need to, that's the only way you're going to get better. You don't need to redo the whole problem or be like, I got it wrong. I have no idea why. Okay, when you write out your steps, okay, you can see exactly why. Okay, so now we're down to 36 plus 6 times 3. Pretty easy. That multiplication is going to come before addition. So let's go to tackle that. So now we're down to 36 plus 6 times 3. That, of course, is 18. So 36 plus 18 is 54. Wow, that is a good amount of work. And a lot of you are like, boy, this problem is long. When is it ever going to end? Well, this is, in terms of level of difficulty, I would maybe give this like a 5 out of 10. Okay, so if you think this is a long problem, you wait to see some of the things you might be doing in algebra and beyond. All right, so nothing difficult, just a lot of steps, all right? A lot of small steps that we have to concentrate on. All right, so that is 54. Now let's go back to our original problem. And here is what we had. We did all of this work right here, and it all came out to 54. All right, so this is our problem right now. So now we're done with the parentheses. So you might be saying, okay, PEMDAS, PMDAS, we're on the parenthesis part, right? We're working inside the first group of parentheses. As soon as you get this down to one value, effectively that is over with, okay? So that is done, and now we can kind of consider this as a brand new problem. All right, so if you got to this point of the problem, that is fantastic. So let's go ahead and take the next step, which of course is going to be having you subscribe to my YouTube channel. This helps me tremendously. And if you're going to do that, make sure you hit that notification button. My objective is to reach as many people as possible that are, one, interested in learning mathematics, okay, or maybe just want to, kind of relearn math for whatever reason as a hobby, or maybe they're going back into, or maybe you are kind of, improving your math skills because you're going into a different career. Maybe you're a student, whatever the case is, okay? But it's been my experience through many, many, many years and decades that a lot of people struggle in math, and it doesn't have to be that way. And primarily, people struggle in math because the instruction is it's overly technical, excuse me. And what I try to do is really try to teach this stuff in a clear and understandable way. But anyways, by you subscribing, it does help me reach more people. So thank you very much. Matter of fact, this is the way I look by you hitting that subscribe button right now. Okay, so back to the problem. Okay, so here we're looking at this as its own separate problem. And of course, we are thinking about PEMDAS, right? That's always in the back of our head. So here I'm working inside these brackets. That's effectively grouping symbols. So it's like I'm doing PEMDAS again. So I'm asking myself, do I have any exponents or powers? Indeed, I do right here. Okay, so that's 1/2 cubed. What does that mean? You're going to take 1/2 and multiply it by itself 3 times. Of course, you're going to multiply all the numerators and denominators, and that is 1/8, 1/8. All right, now if some of these basic operations that I'm doing with fractions or even order of operations or any of this stuff is giving you a tough time and you want to, you just need more help with this, check out my Math Foundations mini course. I call it like my little math boot camp, if you will. It's 3 chapters. You'll find a link to it in the description below. I go over everything basic math, fractions, order of operations, percent, decimals, basic math operations. So, it's a great starter course for those of you that are looking to kind of get back into math. Also, I have a ton of additional videos on my YouTube channel as well. All right, so 1/2 cubed is 1/8. Okay, so now we're down to this point now. And again, we're keeping PEMDAS in mind, right? So do I have any multiplication and division? Yes, this is multiplication, this is division. So I'm going to do the multiplication first, right? Because that's what I see from left to right. And of course, we get to deal with fractions. I know everyone's so excited, like, yay, fractions. I love fractions. Well, in actuality, people don't like fractions. Their actual expressions kind of like this. Oh man, why do we have to do fractions? Well, you got to understand fractions to be successful in math. All right, so we have brackets 1/8 times 54 divided by 6. Again, you're just going to take this one step at a time. So let's focus on what this is equal to. All right, so what is 1/8 times 54? Well, if you didn't see this as a fraction, or you're like, well, 54, how do I do this? We could always think of any number as a fraction by putting it over 1. So the way we multiply fractions is simply you multiply the respective numerators over the respective denominators. So 1 times 54 is 54, 8 times 1 is 8. So the answer here is 54/8, and we're going to divide this by 6. Now, again, you have a fraction. We're down to one last operation, right? A fraction divided by a number. You're like, well, this is not a fraction. We'll just put it over 1. That'll make things a lot easier for yourself. Now, what do we need to do to finish this up? Well, you have to know how to divide fractions. So how do we divide fractions? Well, what we're going to do is change that division problem, okay, into a multiplication problem, right? And how do I do that? Well, remember, this is 6/1. We have 54/8 divided by 6/1. So we're going to take the fraction to the right of the division symbol and flip it upside down. Okay, so when we turn this into a multiplication problem, we have to flip this fraction to the right of the division symbol. And so, of course, in this case, it's going to be 1/6. All right, so now we're down to this problem, 54 divided by 8 times 1/6. Let's go ahead and answer that. So 54 over 8 times 1/6. Again, when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply the respective numerators and denominators. Now, I broke this up because you need to be looking for opportunities to simplify your fractions when you're multiplying. In other words, reduce your fractions before you do all this multiplication. What am I talking about? Well, I have 54/8 times 1/6. Now, some of you hopefully will remember, you can be like, oh yeah, 6 goes into 54 9 times. That's great, but and that's what you should be doing. But for those of you that didn't kind of see that, you could think of 54. Let's think of 54 as 6 times 9. Okay, so we're going to multiply 54 times 1, so 6 times 9 is 54 times 1 all over 8 times 6. Now, what you're looking for is opportunities to cross-cancel any like factors between the numerator and denominator. So if you see right here, I have a 6. 6 times 9 is 54, but I also have a 6 down here. I can cross-cancel these. In other words, I don't want to do all this multiplication. I want to cross-cancel as many like factors as possible, and what is left is the answer. Okay, and of course right here, all I have is 9 and 8, or 9/8. All right. So, again, for those of you that got this right, I mean, that is fantastic. You must be so proud of yourself. Matter of fact, I just have to upgrade your A++. I'm going to throw in a good old 1984 Mohawk haircut. That was pretty cool back in the good old days. Not that I had one, but it was very impressive, just like your ability to do this problem. All right. Now, again, I don't think this problem was, say, difficult. There's just a lot of steps, and that is really kind of the more difficult part of doing mathematics. It's not even math, it's the way you write math. You got to remember, math is a language, and the way you tell your story from problem to solution is going to count big time. And everything I'm telling you here, I made all these mistakes. I used to be the sloppiest, most disorganized person. I had to improve if I needed to improve in math. There was just no way of getting around it. So, for those of you that might be saying, yeah, that's, I heard that, before. I like doing math this way. Listen, just make your life a lot easier and, take my suggestion is, to heart. And I'm telling you, everything is going to get much, much better. All right, so with all that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.